You were completely independent before them. You had your own friends, your own money, your own opinions, your own way of living. Now you check your phone before you check your own thoughts. You ask permission before you make decisions. You feel anxious when they are quiet for too long. This did not happen by accident. Somewhere along the way, something inside you was quietly rewired, not through force, not through threats, through something far more subtle. And by the time you noticed, it was already too late to remember who you were before. There is a process that some people use knowingly or unknowingly to make another human being need them, not love them, need them, the way you need oxygen, the way you need sleep. And the strangest part is this: the person experiencing it rarely sees it happening because it never feels like control. It feels like closeness. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how dependency is built, piece by piece, inside the human mind. And once you understand it, you will start noticing it everywhere. In relationships, in friendships, in workplaces, even in the way entire industries are designed to keep you hooked. We live in a world that has perfected the art of dependency. Your phone is designed to make you check it without thinking. Certain relationships are designed to make you doubt your own judgment. Certain jobs are designed to make you feel replaceable, so you stay quiet and stay loyal out of fear. This is not paranoia. This is psychology. Human beings are wired to attach. We are wired to seek safety, comfort, and predictability. And anyone who understands this wiring can use it, sometimes without even realizing they are doing it. So let's go deep. Let's look at how manufactured dependency actually works, step by step, in real life. The first step is almost invisible. It is called selective attention. In the beginning, they give you more attention than anyone ever has. They remember small details about your life. They respond instantly. They make you feel like the most important person in the room. This feels incredible. But here is what is actually happening underneath. Your brain begins to associate them with reward. Every text back, every compliment, every moment of attention triggers a small release of dopamine. Slowly, your brain starts to crave that feeling. You are not falling for a person yet. You are falling for a chemical pattern. And once that pattern is established, the next phase begins. Here's where it gets darker. The second step is intermittent reinforcement. Once you are emotionally invested, the attention does not stay constant. It becomes unpredictable. Some days they are warm and loving. Other days they are distant or cold for no clear reason. This inconsistency does something dangerous to the human brain. Psychology suggests that unpredictable rewards create stronger addiction than constant rewards. This is the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You never know when the next reward is coming, so you keep trying. You start overthinking. You start replaying conversations. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You begin chasing their approval instead of receiving it freely. And without realizing it, your emotional stability starts to depend on their mood. Have you ever noticed how some people only feel calm when a certain person responds quickly? Have you ever noticed how your entire day can change based on one message, one tone of voice, one moment of silence? That is not a coincidence. That is conditioning. But this is only the beginning. The third step is isolation, and this one is often disguised as love. It rarely looks like control. It usually sounds caring. You don't need them, they don't really get you. I just want you to be happy. Why do you need to go out so much? I just want to spend time with you. Slowly, your world becomes smaller, not because someone locked the door, but because you started choosing to stay close to the one source of comfort that feels safest. In many cases, this isolation is not even intentional. It can happen simply because spending more time with one person naturally reduces time with others. But whether intentional or not, the result is the same. Your support system shrinks. And when your support system shrinks, your dependency on one single person grows. This is where things start to feel heavier. The fourth step is doubt installation. This is one of the most psychologically destructive patterns because it attacks the one thing that protects you from manipulation, your own judgment. It can look like small comments. You're overreacting. You always misunderstand things. Maybe if you weren't so sensitive, this wouldn't be a problem. At first, you defend yourself. But slowly, after hearing it enough times, something shifts. You start questioning your own perception of reality. You start apologizing for things you are not sure you even did wrong. Research has shown that repeated doubt, especially from someone emotionally close to you, can weaken a person's confidence in their own memory and perception over time. This is not weakness. This is a survival response. Your brain begins prioritizing peace over truth because conflict feels more dangerous than staying silent. And once your own judgment becomes unreliable in your own mind, you start relying on theirs instead. This is the moment dependency becomes structural. Most people never notice this shift happening because it does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in 1,000 small moments, spread across weeks, months, sometimes years. What if this is happening to you right now? In a relationship, a friendship, or even at work? Let's continue. The fifth step is the comfort trap. By this stage, leaving does not feel like freedom. It feels like danger. Even if the relationship causes pain, the idea of losing it creates more fear than the pain itself. This is because human beings do not seek happiness as strongly as they seek familiarity. The brain prefers predictable pain over unpredictable change. This is why people stay in jobs that drain them. This is why people stay in friendships that hurt them. This is why people stay in relationships long after the love has quietly disappeared. Not because they are foolish, but because the brain interprets the unknown as more threatening than the familiar. And the person creating the dependency, whether knowingly or unknowingly, becomes the center of your emotional safety, even if they are also the source of your emotional pain. This contradiction is exactly what keeps people trapped. Here's where it gets even darker. The sixth step is identity merging. At this stage, you no longer just need their presence. You start losing your individual identity. Your decisions are filtered through their potential reaction. Your opinions slowly shift to match theirs. Your goals, your style, even your sense of humor begins adjusting to please them. This is not love. This is psychological merging caused by prolonged dependency. In many cases, the person does not even notice this transformation in themselves. Friends notice it first. You used to be so confident. You used to have your own opinions. What happened to you? And the most disturbing part is this. The person experiencing it often feels like they are simply growing, evolving, becoming more mature, when in reality, they are disappearing. Now think about how many areas of modern life mirror this exact same pattern. Social media platforms use unpredictable rewards, just like step 2, to keep you scrolling. Certain workplaces create isolation from other opportunities by making you feel replaceable everywhere else. Certain advertising systems install subtle doubt about your appearance, your intelligence, your worth, so you keep buying solutions to fix a problem they created in your mind. This is not a coincidence. Dependency is profitable. Whether it is emotional, financial, or digital, the same psychological blueprint repeats itself across human behavior. Most people never notice this happening because dependency rarely announces itself. It does not arrive wearing a warning label. It arrives disguised as convenience, comfort, or care. Think about how many subscriptions quietly run your life right now. Streaming services, food delivery apps, ride-share platforms. Each one was designed to remove a small amount of friction from your day, and each removed friction made you a little less capable of functioning without it. This is the same pattern at a larger scale. Step by step, convenience replaces capability, and capability, once it fades, is difficult to rebuild. Consider the modern credit system. Many Americans are taught early in life that debt is simply a normal part of survival. Car payments, student loans, credit card balances that never seem to disappear. This creates a quiet, constant dependency on financial institutions, not because people are careless, but because the entire system is structured to keep monthly payments just barely manageable and never fully resolved. This is not necessarily intentional cruelty. In many cases, it is simply how large systems are designed to sustain themselves. But the psychological effect on the individual is identical to what happens inside a controlling relationship. You feel like you are always one step behind, always working to catch up, always slightly anxious about what happens if the income stops. And when survival feels uncertain, people rarely question the system keeping them afloat. They simply hold on to it. This is dependency at a societal level, and it mirrors the exact same psychological steps we have already explored. Attention, inconsistency, isolation from alternatives, quiet erosion of confidence, and finally, a deep, almost unconscious need to remain inside a system, simply because leaving feels more frightening than staying. But this is only the beginning of how dependency operates beyond personal relationships. Think about the modern workplace. Many companies understand, whether explicitly or instinctively, that an employee who feels replaceable will rarely speak up. So certain environments are quietly structured to make you feel like your position is fragile, even when your performance is strong. You see it in vague warnings about budget cuts. You see it in praise that arrives rarely, just often enough to keep you hopping for more. You see it in the unspoken rule that asking for a raise might mark you as difficult, while staying silent marks you as a team player. This is intermittent reinforcement again, wearing a corporate uniform. Employees begin overworking, not out of ambition, but out of fear. Fear of becoming the example used in the next round of layoffs. Fear of losing health insurance. Fear of losing a paycheck that an entire household depends on. And once fear becomes the primary motivator, dependency is no longer a side effect. It becomes the business model. Have you ever noticed how certain people, certain companies, and certain systems all seem to benefit when you feel just unstable enough to need them, but never quite secure enough to leave them? That is not paranoia. That is design. Now, let's go deeper into why this works so effectively on the human brain. Psychology suggests that human beings are not actually wired for independence. We are wired for connection and survival within groups. For most of human history, isolation meant death. Being cut off from a tribe, a family, or a community was one of the most dangerous situations a person could face. This means your brain still treats emotional disconnection as a survival threat, even in a modern world where you are physically safe. So when someone becomes your primary source of comfort, your brain does not just enjoy them. It starts depending on them for a sense of safety. This is why losing them can feel less like sadness and more like fear. Real physical fear, a racing heart, a tight chest, a panic that something essential is missing. You are not just losing a person. Your nervous system believes you are losing protection. And this is exactly what makes manufactured dependency so powerful. It does not rely on logic. It bypasses logic completely and speaks directly to your ancient survival instincts. Now here comes the climax, the most disturbing realization of all. The most dangerous part of manufactured dependency is not the person creating it. It is you, mistaking control for love. This mistake is not stupidity. It is biology. Your brain cannot easily tell the difference between intensity and intimacy. A racing heart can mean passion, or it can mean fear. And when both feelings are triggered by the same person, your mind often labels the entire experience as love, simply because it cannot find another word powerful enough to describe it. Because true love adds freedom to your life. It expands your world. It strengthens your identity. It makes you feel more like yourself, not less. But manufactured dependency does the opposite. It shrinks your world while convincing you it is expanding. It weakens your confidence while convincing you it is protecting you. It isolates you while convincing you it is bringing you closer to someone. And the most disturbing truth is this. Once your brain has been conditioned to associate anxiety with closeness and comfort with control, you may unconsciously seek out similar dynamics in future relationships, friendships, or even jobs. You begin choosing dependency again and again, without realizing you are choosing it. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because your nervous system has learned that this specific pattern of inconsistency, doubt, and emotional highs and lows feels like home. This is how the cycle repeats across an entire lifetime, sometimes across generations, passed down quietly through patterns of attachment. Take a moment and ask yourself something uncomfortable. Is there someone in your life right now whose silence makes you anxious? Is there someone whose approval feels more important than your own opinion of yourself? Is there someone who makes you feel small, but you stay anyway, because leaving feels more terrifying than staying? You don't have to answer out loud, but your mind already knows the answer. Now here is where clarity begins. Awareness does not mean blame. Most people who create dependency in others are not cartoon villains. In many cases, they themselves were shaped by similar patterns earlier in their own lives. Hurt people often create the exact environment that once hurt them, without realizing it. This is not an excuse, but it is an explanation. Understanding this does not mean you must stay in harmful situations. It means you finally have the power to recognize the pattern instead of being unconsciously controlled by it. Once you understand selective attention, you stop mistaking inconsistency for passion. Once you understand intermittent reinforcement, you stop chasing approval like a reward you must earn. Once you understand isolation, you start protecting your outside relationships, even during times of closeness. Once you understand doubt installation, you start trusting your own perception again. Once you understand the comfort trap, you stop confusing familiarity with happiness. And once you understand identity merging, you start asking yourself a powerful question. Do I genuinely want this, or have I simply adapted to survive this? This single question can change the entire direction of someone's life. Because the moment you can name a pattern, it loses a piece of its power over you. You may still feel the pull. You may still feel familiar anxiety. But now there is something new sitting beside that anxiety. Awareness. And awareness is the first form of freedom. You do not need to make any decisions today. You do not need to confront anyone, leave anyone, or change anything immediately. Healing and clarity take time, and that is completely normal. For now, simply notice. Notice where you feel anxious for no clear reason. Notice where your confidence quietly disappeared. Notice whose voice in your head sounds louder than your own. That noticing is where real change begins. You might notice it in small moments. The relief you feel when a message finally arrives. the tension in your chest before checking your phone, the way your mood shifts depending on someone else's tone of voice, the way you negotiate with yourself before asking for something you deserve. None of these moments need to be fixed today. They simply need to be seen. Because the human mind cannot heal a pattern it refuses to acknowledge, and it cannot be controlled by a pattern it has already named. Manufactured dependency thrives in darkness, in silence, and in repetition. But once you see the pattern clearly, you can't unsee it. And from this point forward, every relationship, every workplace dynamic, every notification on your phone will look just a little different to you. Not because the world changed, but because you finally did.